Good evening and welcome to Poland Daily. I'm Nicholas Richardson and this is the news. Today, the Polish government adopted a bill on the so-called small pension. As a result of this new regulation, over 300 small businesses will be able to make reduced contributions, on average 500 zloty per month lower, to the social security system. At present, lower contributions are made by about 180,000 small business owners.
This is a solution which will enable small businesses to flourish. I am talking about micro and mid-sized small businesses. We estimate that the amount to pay to the social pension will be lowered by 500 Polish zlotys on the average. For businesses with income higher than 5,000 zloty, this discount will be smaller, and for those with small earnings, the amount would be much higher than 500 zloty. So the average is the average. On the scale of the whole budget of Poland, it is a shift of at least 1,300 million to small and very small businesses. Why am I presenting this in such a way? This is because the pension plan system will have a deficit, and this deficit must be compensated. It is going to be compensated by the transfer of funds from the state treasury. So in order to help small and very small businesses, and frankly micro businesses, we will move 1,300 million, maybe even 500 million zloty.
Let's imagine a business owner whose gross income was about 84,000, the net income was about 36,000. Presently, the social pension contribution will be about 990 zloty, and starting in 2020, the respective amount of the contribution will be 570 zloty. So it is that average 500 zloty less than until now. It is very beneficial solution, cash in the small business owner's pocket.
Donald Tusk, who steps down as President of the European Council on the 1st of December, has been chosen as the head of the European People's Party, a grouping in the European Parliament which includes Christian Democratic and centre parties from across Europe. Tusk doesn't shy away from the fact that in his new role he will be engaging more closely in Polish politics.
Can we give away the sphere of security and order to political populists, manipulators and autocrats?
When asked if he is definitely now bidding farewell to Polish politics, Tusk responded by saying it's exactly the opposite. It's a new beginning, also with Polish politics. Politicians from the Civic Platform Party are not hiding their excitement. I'm glad he's not leaving politics and that he will continue to do the good work for Poles and the country. As head of the European People's Party, he will be dealing with some of the most important leaders of the EU. Tusk stated yesterday that as the leader of the party, he will be fighting to preserve the rule of law and against populists in Europe. Politicians of the ruling Law and Justice Party take these words as the preview of an anti-government policy from the former leader of the Civic Platform. It's definitely his personal success, which has its roots in his European career. This gives him more freedom to criticize the Polish government, as it's not as appropriate for high-ranking EU officials. Nevertheless, he did that during his term of office, and it will be difficult for him to go back to Polish politics. Donald Tusk will step down from his position as the President of the European Council on December 1st, and on the same day his 3 years of office as the leader of the European People's Party will begin.
The hearings before the United States Congress Intelligence Committee regarding the impeachment procedure against United States President Donald Trump, initiated by the Democratic Party, are continuing. Yesterday, the United States Ambassador to the European Union, Gordon Sondland, testified in front of the committee. However, as before, his testimony did not provide the Democrats with clear evidence that President Trump had abused his power in relation to his dealings with Ukraine.
In the investigation of the Ukrainian scandal, the President of the United States is accused of putting pressure on Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky to launch an investigation in his country against Hunter Biden, the son of Joe Biden, his likely Democratic Party rival in next year's presidential election. The Democrats want to prove that the president made the implementation of the investigation a condition of granting hundreds of millions of dollars worth of military assistance to Ukraine, which had been previously approved by the American Congress.
For over a year, I resisted this whole idea of going down the road to impeachment. But it was made necessary, and not by the whistleblower, but by the actions of the president.
As every day goes by, Adam Schiff and the Democrats' wishful thinking for impeachment crumbles.
One of those who were questioned was Laura Cooper, the Deputy Secretary of Defense, who testified about the suspension of almost $400 million in aid for the security of the government in Kyiv, as part of the pressure put on President Zelensky.
In July, I became aware of a hold being placed on obligation of the State Department's Foreign Military Financing, or FMF, and DoD's USAI funds. In a series of interagency meetings, I heard that the President had directed the Office of Management and Budget to hold the funds because of his concerns about corruption in Ukraine. Let me say at the outset that I have never discussed this or any other matter with the President and never heard directly from him about this matter.
The next to be questioned was Gordon Sondland, a millionaire and donor to the Donald Trump campaign and U.S. ambassador to the European Union. Sondland said he received requests from Donald Trump's personal lawyer, Rudy Giuliani, to make an agreement with Kyiv. He added, however, that he had never spoken to Donald Trump in person.
Who would benefit from an investigation of the Bidens?
I assume President Trump would benefit.
There we have it, see?
Mr. Maloney?
Hold on, sir.
Excuse me. I've been very forthright, and I really resent what you're trying to do.
Fair enough. You've been very forthright. This is your third try to do so, sir.
My testimony is I never heard from President Trump that aid was conditioned on an announcement of elections.
Sondland also described the issue of email exchanges between the U.S. and Kyiv authorities, which were known of by the Secretary of State Mike Pompeo and the U.S. Vice President Mike Pence.
You've testified that the White House meeting that President Zelensky desperately wanted, and that was very important to President Zelensky, was it not?
Absolutely.
President Trump continues to refute the Democrat allegations, suggesting that the matter is expected to influence the results of the 2020 election.
Everybody knows who the whistleblower is, and the whistleblower is a political operative. These gentlemen know it. He's a political operative. And frankly, the IG should have never brought this.
Look, I would not direct my Justice Department like this president does. I'd let them make their independent judgment. I would not dictate who should be prosecuted or who should be exonerated. That's not the role of the President of the United States. It's the Attorney General of the United States, not the President's attorney, private attorney.
We have a president who is not only a pathological liar, he is likely the most corrupt president in the modern history of America. But we cannot simply be consumed by Donald Trump.
The basic of the impeachment procedure implemented by the Democrats against the president is the accusation that he abused power and compromised national security in his relations with Ukraine.
German Chancellor Angela Merkel is planning to visit Auschwitz, the former Nazi death camp, for the first time in her 14 years in office. The Munich daily newspaper, Sueddeutsche Zeitung, reported on Thursday that Merkel has accepted an invitation to attend the 10th anniversary of the Auschwitz-Birkenau Foundation, to be held on 6 December. Merkel's office confirmed that a visit is planned, but declined to specify the precise date, as her appointments are generally only announced a week in advance. That's the news. Thank you for watching. Stay with us for the weather, business and more programmes. But from me, it's have a good night and a better tomorrow.